Hi, everyone, people in the audience and the people online and Facebook. We have a very special GUILDit today. I'm super, super excited. First of all, this slide here, this is our staff. I'm GK Callahan. I'm going to be your facilitator today. And we want to always give a special thanks to the Arts Coalition for hosting us. We love that they have us in their beautiful space. If you have not been down here, you need to come check it out. It's in Midtown Kansas City, and they have a beautiful gallery and artist studios, and it's wonderful. We want to thank all of our other sponsors on this list as well. So normally our format works where we have a 10 to 15 minute presentation, and then we do Q&A, and then we'll end with some announcements. But today we have a very special guest. Our founder, Susana Bruhn, I knew I was going to mispronounce that, is here, and she's actually going to talk about GUILDit itself, which is really great, and her own artwork. So after growing this Kansas City business for 7 years, Susana will present on GUILDit itself. She's helped over 100 artists get gigs, grants, and build marketing and strategy plans. Susana has curated exhibitions, and is also a visual artist and had some solo shows in Kansas City and in Overland Park. She has a piece featured in ABC's Extreme Home Makeover and curated its art show featuring 32 regional artists, including STRETCH and Tom Corbin. So, without further ado, please welcome Susana up to the mic.
Thank you for coming today. And would you believe I've been so busy that I didn't do my usual promotion that I usually do for GUILDit. So I appreciate you showing up today and hearing more about what GUILDit does and what I do. After 7 years, I'm excited to finally be in front of the mic. I am not a pro in front of the mic as I am behind the mic. So, but I'm sure I'll be just fine. And I look forward to your words. All right. So GUILDit is an art biz nonprofit, and I am a visual artist, curator, poet, and founder of GUILDit. I've also founded a few other things before GUILDit. And then to tell you more about GUILDit, we help artists spur entrepreneurism. We do this by creating communities around best business practices by the way of forums, panels, art shows, and the like. Our vision is growing Kansas City economy and culture. And then currently, as an artist, focusing on my visual art, making a transition from these acrylic color fields I've been doing for 20 plus years to Ukraine-Russia political commentary using drawing. Brainstorming, I venture into that new medium and myself as an artist. Okay, so close up a little bit. We've had well-known presenters both in the performing and visual arts, as well as we've had large lectures at the Kansas City Library of 200 attending. As a visual artist, I've done spectrum with to drawing, and I'm making a and both doing aesthetics and political commentary pieces. And I'm making my way from doing aesthetic pieces for 20 years, the color fields, going back to political commentary, which I had first done during the Tiananmen Square rebellion, and now I'm turning my art to Ukraine. And one of the things beautiful about this is I'm donating part of the sales to Ukraine refugees. Okay, and a little bit more about GUILDit, and Susana B art. GUILDit, we have forums like this and special events and e-news that outreach to the public. Then marketing-wise, we do Instagram, YouTube, and GUILDit.org. Then SusanaB.net is my personal website, as well as, and it displays my art, but it doesn't sell my art. So I kind of want to make a move towards selling my art online, as well as I have a personal Facebook page. And then I don't have Instagram, which I plan to launch soon after your input on how best to do that. and I do, but GUILDit does have an Instagram page, so but I am not an expert or even experienced on Instagram as some of you may be. All right. Now, revenue streams. GUILDit has grants, sponsorships, fundraising events, sporadic earned revenue. And then Susana B, I get my income from GUILDit, as well as from my art, particularly Arts KC Now Showing program. And then I would like to build online sales. And then outside of my art, I have a master's in education as well as a degree in art. And I enjoy working for UMKC and KCU, helping with their med school testing. All right. Then we'll go back. All right. So I'm going to talk about my goals. And so for GUILDit, we're at a point, just after COVID, and we really need to grow or reduce. To grow, it would be to develop the earned revenue aspect of our programming, continuous earned revenue. Before COVID in 2020 of January, we had a fabulous town hall where 100 people attended, and we talked about creating more space, artist workspaces. And from then we had weekly meetings with the Pod co-working space, and they still have an interest in working with us, but they too have been hit by COVID, and so they aren't in a position yet to take on an art center as we envision, though we're hoping they will, because now in the Westport location, they're opening their second building. Their first building is primarily offices and business, and their second building is residential, and the art center would help attract residents to the residential building. And that would be something very unique for Kansas City to live across an art center. So, and we're also looking at having a gallery within that building as well. So, but if that does, and we just started reaching out to other co-working spaces as well. We wouldn't be able to create an art center as we hoped in other co-working spaces because they're not as large and don't have the theater space, et cetera, so forth, as Westport PlexPod does. But we hope they will come through, but we do have a backup plan. And then our next backup plan is if we don't have anything co-working coming through or any workspaces that phantom within the next few months, then we're also scouting to reduce our expenses. Like, for instance, Artists Inc. works under Mid-America Arts Alliance. We have been approached by Interurban Art House 4 years ago to work under them. And we'll be approaching other Interurban Art House and other organizations again about us going under their umbrella. And we would still be a nonprofit, but we would share some common resources like office space, et cetera. So yeah, and my goal as an artist is to rebrand my website, establish more social media accounts, be more, and rebrand business cards and everything else. Also be more active in selling my art, especially online. Okay. And then challenges. For GUILDit, it's being a small, young nonprofit, and we're an anomaly, especially when it comes to funding, because we don't have performances. We don't have a gallery at this point. So art organizations don't know how to, when they say state your artistic quality, well, what we state is how we help artists attain their goals. And then as far as board members, we're looking for new board members. Arts in a lot of our board members are wonderful, have wonderful business experience, but we would like to have more board members who have arts nonprofits experiences. Okay. Also, GUILDit has a hard time paying me. So everything gets paid first and then my salary is last. So that doesn't always happen as far as I get a full salary from GUILDit. For me personally, for my art, GUILDit takes a lot of my time. I love my work at and I love it. I love my work at UMKC, but I do need to be very more vigilant about carving out time for me as an artist. And GK's shaking his head. He can relate. He works full time as well as facilitates here and is an artist as well. So needs. So to increase and earn revenue streams for GUILDit, I'm sure many businesses can say that as well, and organizations. And personally, yourselves, you may be able to say that. Also, in addition to finding more event facilitators like the fabulous GK we have, and definitely women and artists as board members. We have some wonderful board members. Again, we just would like to balance it out with women and artists. Or I should say more women and artists. So Susana B, the needs for that is rebranding and more sales outlets. So in addition to online, I'm looking for more sales outlets too, being brick and mortar and such. All right. Well, I want to thank you for your ideas that you'll be giving to GUILDit. And we also encourage you to tell friends about GUILDit on social media and also about my new Ukraine series. I'm very excited about it. So I open it up to questions.
Anyone have any questions before I jump right in?
Yeah. No. Yeah. I encourage. I like to do that myself. So, yeah.
Well, one of my questions, and we've talked about this before when it comes to earned revenue, was reaching out to local larger corporations like maybe Cerner and having them pay to have this as part of something the employees can take advantage of during their lunch break or something along those lines. So you would bring the artist to their facility and facilitate within their corporation for people now that we're going back to the office, right? And so how can you build that in as a structure to make some revenue?
Yeah. And the ideas we have here, and that's a great idea. And the ideas we have are shared here. We'll be taking back to the board and given a brainstorming list of what the community has thought would work with GUILDit. So we encourage you to think of anything and everything because one idea helps triggers others as well. So I'm sure our board members have a few ideas, but hearing from the community is more thought-provoking.
One of the questions you always ask people is what grants, what about grants? And so I know you get grants for GUILDit. Are there other places that you haven't explored?
Yeah, well, right now we've continuously gotten funds from Arts KC and Francis Family Foundation. Francis Family Foundation in particular, and Arts KC as well now, likes to fund organizations because of diversity. And so so that's been something that has been strong for us and that we look for other organizations or foundations to support. One thing we are running into with some of the foundations was, we need to see more programming. So that's why we're not only looking for programming, we are looking for continuous earned revenue so that we are more attractive to fund and to justify and either that or we want to reduce our overhead so we're more attractive to fund as well. Because then, we have less expenses and therefore a lot more money going to the programming. So,
Do they mean with programming? Do they mean beyond the type you already do?
Yeah, they would like, like for instance, they would like us to do either more forums or more lectures and more panels than what we do. And we would we would like to, but those are all free. And to be responsible, you want a well-rounded portfolio. So you want free programming, but then you want continuous earned revenue. Like for instance, theaters do, they have paid ticket shows, but they also do a lot of free programming with the schools and such. They go into the schools and bring performers in there, or they teach the students how to perform. And so we have that free programming aspect, but in order to build and responsibly build GUILDit, we need to introduce more earned revenue programming. And many of the art organizations who have done that have done it via gallery. They rent art spaces, and then we could look at some paid programs too, but we would have to do that monthly, I think, in order to, because we want to see that continuous earned revenue. But the one thing too that's nice that we learned, that's nice about that happens during the shutdown, galleries or the rent was still people were still paying rent. So we had to really shut down our events. I mean, we could do them online, but that hurt us as far as our outreach and such. So we would prefer to have different revenue streams. Different programming. So have programming for events, have programming for rent, for studio space, have programming for galleries. The small companies, the more they diversify their product line, the stronger they are. So we definitely want to look at, if we're growing GUILDit, we want it to remain strong. And the more diverse our product line is, or our program line is, then the stronger GUILDit is.
To add on to what she just said, it dawned on me, what about humanities grants? Because a lot of what you do could be connected to humanities. So maybe thinking outside of the arts in general and thinking more about what you're doing to connect people and, this connection between business owners and artists and community. And, so maybe that would be an avenue that I don't know that you've explored.
Yeah, we've looked at Missouri's humanity grant, but we haven't looked at others though either. And so I would be open to looking at others because we found they will pay for speakers, but they won't necessarily pay for your overhead.
That's really hard to get grantors to pay for that.
So
libraries is another way, is that you might be able to get them to cover some of your costs, like your speaker costs.
Yeah.
If you were to present at libraries, they're going to offer the program for free, like Mid-Continent Public Library, but because they're they're funded through a local tax, they have a lot of discretional money that they can use to help support artists and speakers to come speak.
Yeah.
So that could be a way that you could earn some revenue and cover the speaker costs. Right.
In Johnson County Library, we're excited to finally be working with them again. We had worked with them doing programs a couple times a year before COVID. And because of COVID, they shut down a lot of their programs. But this fall, we're going to be working with them again. And we already have plans for 2023 as well, doing a workshop, a conference for creative entrepreneurs at Johnson County Library. So we're really excited to be partnering with them once again. So, yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about your art?
Sure.
So I have a question about the idea of rebranding. I think it's great to always redo your website and do that, but do you have to leave your old stuff behind? To me, I think there should be an archive of that work and your evolution.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was just curious what your thoughts were there.
Yeah, I still plan to bring everything online. And two, what I'd like to do is there's some pieces I haven't posted online right now because I don't want to give them up, but I should be offering prints of them. So I hope to even offer more of my past work online as prints, as well as sell current original pieces, and then introduce these new pieces on Ukraine. One thing though I haven't figured out is how best to do that on Instagram. Should I just do Ukraine, or should I have it all on Instagram, all my art on Instagram?
I would suggest having all of your art on there.
Yeah.
I also think to get more followers, applying to group shows, or joining a space like we're in now, the art school, you're gonna increase your followers by working with other organizations, and you can do group shows all around the country. You just have to look.
Yeah.
And if you go to those call for arts, there's different sites
Right.
that.
That's a good point, of group shows as well. I know a lot of artists have the ambition of solo shows, but that's a good point of group shows. They introduce you to new audiences, as well as, especially the Ukraine series, doing it on, applying for online. I think, because that will easily have a lot of interest, I think, right now. And the more people the more people are aware of it, the more I think the sales will be then. So, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to how to carve out time for yourself.
Yeah.
So that part. So how do you do that now?
Well, right now I have Sundays, and I was really good. I had an art class, and I was really good too about, using that time. I have an instructor I like to use. I like to take classes from, and she's really good about letting me do my own projects. I usually do some of her assignments because they help me explore the medium more. Yeah. But then, she usually has a final project at the end, and then I bring in my own individual project. And she has a few people like that too, as well as a few people who follow her project guidelines.
It's amazing how we flip into those old habits of, I got to get that assignment done. So I get that assignment done because of a class. I
was really good about booking for a while before GUILDit and such. I was really good about booking gallery shows because I knew that would be the motivation for me to get pieces done. So, so I have to really, motivate myself to do my work without a deadline, so, and yeah.
Well, sometimes we have to work with what we have, if you work better with a deadline, I always work better with a deadline, then you create your deadline. Or if that class works, you could, I don't know when that is, but probably fall.
Yeah, I can easily, that sounds good. Yeah, I can easily take more classes with this instructor. Yeah. And even though it might be a medium, I'm not necessarily geared to do. I always like to explore, and then she's flexible with me doing projects with other projects within the class. And of course, she has fabulous feedback on whether it's your own personal project or one she introduced.
Yeah. The other piece is on the political pieces. Are you branching out from Ukraine? I think the conflict in Ukraine will be with us.
Yeah, unfortunately
for a long time. But what do you do about broadening that?
I don't know yet. I guess what I did was I've done a lot of research already on the model. So I've used these, and this is actually a fashion model from Russia, and it's a Russian photographer that did the piece. So and I've made slight changes in it though, but yeah. So I have a slew of photographs I'm working from, or a slew of photographs I chose to work from, and then and for these two pieces, I developed the title first, and then I looked at these selections I grouped, and usually they're very uniquely, you don't see models often pose like this, so they're very unique poses. And so I usually have a title in mind. This one is called Ukraine Outreach in March 4th. And then I find, and I look through my images to do it, and even may look at new images. For instance, my new piece is going to be called Putin, You Have Us All Tied Up in Knots. and the model is double cross-legged. And then I looked at yoga models for arms double crossed. And then I'm using Sarah, what's the politician from Alaska, Sarah Palin's
Yes.
Hair bun that's tied up in knots. And so I kind of, and Julian Moore's body actually. So this is a combination of models that I'm working from and merged them into Photoshop and now printing it out and doing a drawing from it.
Well, I think to elaborate more on what she was asking, like exploring other issues that may be even closer to home, like women's rights or gay rights, or like, how do you expand this political use of your visual work to talk about other issues? So it becomes a larger body of work. Yeah,
and that's a good thought, because especially when Black Lives Matter, I've been political about that. And I had submitted a couple pieces to public art, but I personally didn't look at doing something, for print or for original artwork that wasn't public. But I should look at that, something that could be in the gallery and such, because definitely, and Black Lives Matter wasn't just a local issue, but I became active on it locally.
So switching gears again, and maybe going back to GUILDit, I know there's a few people who are new to the forum here. Have you thought about switching the model, like maybe doing like GUILDit late night, where it's at a bar or there's a built-in audience? So you have, kind of like they do with the Moth. So maybe trying different venues that aren't just gallery sort of settings during the day.
Yeah, we had done an evening one at the Arts Bar, and it used to be on Broadway, and it was, and we used to get some unique attendees. It wasn't as productive as our afternoon ones, but the one thing we did like about is we got people who worked 9 to 5 and couldn't get away during the afternoon, but liked coming to the Arts Bar in the evening. And so when we ended that, and because we ended up doing 2 monthly sessions of GUILDit in the afternoon, we did lose a part of our audience that we were unfortunately unable to still program to. I mean, they still supported us through our news. They were still part of our newsletter and such. And we did I actually saw a few of them at we had a weekend fundraiser, a Sunday fundraiser, and I did see 2 of them from there attend that weekend fundraiser that had normally attended our evening sessions. So that's something to revisit again, especially in the crossroads with the right partner. It could actually be bigger than our afternoon events.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be.
Mm-hmm.
As a curator, do you have any questions or any comments?
So you mentioned in your presentation different ideas for, I guess, continuing on with GUILDit. And I wanted to ask, I guess, what your dream for GUILDit is. Like, if you had no limitations, what would you see the future of GUILDit? How do you see the future of GUILDit?
I loved how Artists Inc. has a strong alumni association, and so they're able to involve alumni at various stages. So not only do they they have an Artists Inc. introduction, they have an Artists Inc. Master program, and then they have several ways for presenters to be involved in GUILDit, or Artists Inc. I should say, and as well, they do programming as well. So I would love to offer that. We do pay our artists who are part of our panels and such, but yes, I would love more opportunities to do paid panels, to work with the other libraries, to pay our artists through their programs. Johnson County Library does that. We've had events down at Kansas City Library. So it would be more opportunity to have our alumni back and to have them facilitate within their expertise, we've had them sell art too. So that's been so GUILDit becomes a source of revenue and for the artists, as well as a way for artists to explore growing their business. So I think that would make our community much stronger, and make us more purposeful.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any questions online at all? Okay. Oh, great. We have plenty of time.
What do you want?
For me personally, for my art,
For both. What do you want? I mean, it's different than the dream. I mean, what do you want? Do you want GUILDit to grow, or do you want it to be?
yeah, I do want GUILDit to grow, and I like my lifestyle right now. I like working for UMKC and KCU. I really don't want that to go away. I never envisioned GUILDit to be a full-time job for me. I like the flexibility. I like being an entrepreneur. I like, even with KCU and UMKC, I can dictate my own schedule. I can select to take this testing session or this clinical on. And if I'm too busy, like with GUILDit, then I choose not to do it. They have several professionals that it's like they do a call for us. So we can either choose to take it or to not. So they're not left in the dark if I choose not to work for them that day. So I like that flexibility. I like being on the campus, but I also like being in the arts. And so right now I would like to just do more with GUILDit, and but still have that flexibility to work with UMKC and KCU.
So can we talk a little bit about, we talked about fiscal sponsorship sort of before. And for those who are in the room or they're listening, that's when you join another nonprofit and they kind of become your umbrella, easing some of the burden that you might have as a fledgling nonprofit. What would that look like for you? I mean, do you have a nonprofit in mind if they're out there listening? Do you want to give a little?
Well, I think, to highlight, GUILDit is unique. So we're one of the few, Artists Inc., even though Artists Inc. comes close to us as far as offering business programming for artists, they have a course in which, especially artists who have their MBA or artists who are professors, they might, they don't necessarily need a course on running their business, but they do need, it does help them. Coming to GUILDit does help them address their business challenges, needs, and goals of their current. So they may already know how to balance their books, but they may have a current issue right now in their books, or just finding that additional earned revenue that GUILDit can help them with. For them to go through a 9-week course just to find that out, and they don't necessarily find that out. It's just about how to do your books. It may not address particular issues you're experiencing right now in your business. So even for Artists Inc., I mean, we're even different from Artists Inc. We're very unique. We offer diversity. We not own both ethnicity and gender, as well as sexual orientation. And then in addition to, we envelop all the arts. So we do writing, writers, we have poets, we have performers, we have visual artists. So that's another thing too that's kind of a nice for us. There's very few arts organizations in Kansas City that covers all art disciplines, and so that's a carrot about GUILDit. And then what I foresee doing is probably working under their board. So because that boards can cost. That's Artists Inc. does not have their own board. They do have a group of advisors though. But the group of advisors require a lot less work than a board. Then that organization that we'd be on the umbrella with would work under the board and will present our financials and present our programming to the board for the board to have influence, as well as we'd hope to take, they would take into consideration our own group of advisors. So, but yeah.
So to paraphrase, I think you see GUILDit as being like the dessert, an add-on to an already existing meal out there that people can just get a little extra, a sort of a different avenue
Yeah.
to something that's already very active.
Right. So yeah, and I foresee us being under another art organization, but too, I'm open to a business organization or a diversity organization being under them. And the arts in Kansas City has been the hardest hit industry in Kansas City. So for us to work underneath another organization serving artists, which is actually one of the hardest hit populations by COVID as far as businesses, and artists who were definitely struggling before COVID are definitely struggling now, and we can help uplift them in their business and help with their family finances and such.
Yeah, great. Any other questions out there?
Let me see. Does anybody have experience with Instagram or time management that they can, or disciplining themselves that they can give me advice on, as well as, or sales, especially online sales. Has anybody heard of people? I mean, I know people who've sold on Instagram. And if you know of any tricks or heard of people.
I'm not very good at that either. So
I don't know anything about that, but someone, I'll research this for you. Someone in another group, did some things, and they take the art and they do things like, say, I may go into this website and say, I want that on a t-shirt, or I want that on I don't know what that is, but I can find that out. I don't know what that website is. And sometimes that's a little too, I don't know, something. But it's a possibility,
Yeah, especially, no, I think that's a good possibility, especially if the Ukraine series takes off, or if I do something that is more motivational, where people identify with on strong beliefs. I think that would be good posters, definitely. But
yes,
cups and T-shirts, and
there's a whole licensing world out there you can get into.
Yeah.
I mean, I know some artists in Kansas City that sell their work to Kleenex, so it's their images are on the side of Kleenex boxes, or shower curtain companies. I mean, there's a way, especially with their color field stuff, which I know you're taking a departure from. But in general, there's a way you can do into that licensing world.
And that's, especially I know an artist who does that, and he's looking to work with motels and hotels, specifically, especially hotels who have artwork in their within their their hallways and in hotel rooms, and this is so this is something that's aesthetically pleasing and wouldn't offend anyone. It would be my color field series.
So looking at your needs for facilitators, have you thought about any college students that maybe are interested in getting, from the Art Institute, that want practice public speaking, or things like, I know you do pay your facilitators, so that's a plus.
Yeah.
But there could be a whole market there of younger students who wanted to get out in the world and meet new people and practice on public speaking.
Yeah, and as you were saying that, there's actually a UMKC group that we've collaborated before in the past, who are business majors, both undergraduate and graduate. That it's a nationwide organization that solely focuses on helping artists out. So that would be probably good to outreach to, as well as to the Art Institute. So yeah, because I do have some good connections with professors at the Art Institute, as well as UMKC, and this group at UMKC. So good, thank you. Yeah.
I'll go to something that, oh no, Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
I've noticed something as far as selling, and like I said, I started a small. I bought into a small startup, and they say the best thing is to tell a story. And I was thinking with you, maybe you talking about motivation, maybe your artwork can tell a story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've noticed like online with the social media and everything, that's what usually sells it, get engages all the people is to tell a story because everybody they always want to know more about me because I'm still kind of quiet. I don't know why, but to give a story and start a story or something that engages the people, it usually sells.
Y-
That's what I was looking at your art. That would probably tell. I know a lot of times in art, it tells a story.
Yeah. Yeah, because especially I think how artists are inspired are always different. Like me, my title comes first before off, especially when I'm doing political pieces. Not so much when I'm doing aesthetic pieces, but when I'm doing political pieces, the title comes first and then the visuals come next, which is I think unusual for some artists. And then plus having done this to Tiananmen Square, and now doing it again. And especially for GUILDit, when we do talk about GUILDit to funders, we talk about the story, how we've helped like particular artist, dancer Maura Garcia get a grant from Johnson County Community College. And then we helped her again get a grant from Mid-America Arts Alliance. So we helped her get grants over $25,000 in grant money, which she's been able to do to facilitate her art publicly, and therefore it's a return on it's building the culture within Kansas City on a public basis. So, yeah.
That's great. And to add on to that, it made me think. Thank you for making me think about this. What you're doing Instagram, I watch Instagram Reels more than I flip through the pictures anymore now, which is the little videos.
Okay.
So back to her comment on storytelling, maybe doing little videos about your art, telling your story like she suggested, and then posting those on Instagram will get more traffic.
So I was thinking, especially on this piece that I'm doing, this new piece I'm doing on Ukraine, where the model's all tied up in knots, showing the different photos I'm working from and how I combine them, and then eventually showing the finished piece. I thought would be a good video to do, and I forget there are two. You can find out information on the best video length for Instagram. So I could look at doing that and doing a couple of videos on that. The beginning stages and the finished stages, and to draw more attention. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the storytelling comment was a great one. I think that's
okay.
Very
Thank
smart.
you.
Yeah. Any last questions we have, or?
Yeah. Well, great. Great.
Nope. I think we're good.
Again, just tell people about GUILDit, and I welcome you to share on social media about my artwork, especially once I start building my Instagram account. I don't know if I'll get to the point where I'll do just a Facebook for my artwork, because I find that maybe too time consuming for me, because I don't post regularly just as enough for.
You can post from Instagram right to Facebook because they own each other.
Yeah, that's right. That's
So
right. That's a good way to do that.
Both platforms
So,
at this in one click of a button.
Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, I'll just concentrate on my Instagram art and update my personal Facebook with that. And thank you. I won't feel guilty so much about not having an art Facebook page as well. So, you always want to do it all, but then it's really not possible to do it all. So, all right. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Hi, just a few announcements from KCAC. First of all, hello, my name is Isabel Vargas. I'm the current exhibitions director here at KCAC. We're an arts nonprofit that's been here not here, but in Kansas City for about 45 years. We dedicate ourselves to showcasing local and regional artists. Just a few announcements. We have 2 exhibitions up that go down this Friday, and we'll be having a talk for Morgan Ford Willingham, who's one of the 2 showing artists. That'll be from 5 to 7. And then next week, next Friday, we have 2 exhibitions opening. 2 of the artists in the main gallery are Rodrigo Carrasas Portal and Igor Jong. And then in our Snap space, we have Kylie McConnell showing. So I hope you guys can make it out to that. We'll be open till 8 that day, and that'll be next Friday. Any other announcements that need to be made?
Everyone can take a look at the screen here. Just to let everyone know the Rocket Grant is coming up, and it looks like you need to apply online by June 27th. And our next GUILDit is 6/23, and we will have a musician and painter at our next GUILDit forum. And always thank you, KCAC. We really appreciate it.